Hi, folks. How's it going? I'm feeling kind of under the weather. I don't know why. I did see some family. I was around a lot of family. I mean, they all seemed fine, but I feel like whenever I interact too much with humans, I'm like, oh, somebody gonna get me sick. And then I've been working, so maybe that's why. But yeah, I'm feeling kind of under the weather. But I did take some emergency. That's all I did. Oh, I had like a whole thing of tea. But hopefully this passes because I hate being sick. Nobody likes being sick, but whatever. I hope you're doing well. I'm here because I finished a book. I feel like that's all I post on my channel. It's whenever I finish a book. I really need to expand. Okay, so the book I finished, let me show you the cover before we get started and I tell you what I like about it. It's called The Devotion of Suspect X by Kiego Higashino, I want to say. I'm reading it on my iPad. But yeah. So I really, really like this book. I was surprised because I always tend to stick to just like reading Natsuko Reino or Haruki Murakami. I don't know. I feel like I haven't read that many Japanese translated books recently. I feel like I've kind of stuck to Haruki Murakami, especially all last year. But anyway, this book caught me by surprise. Let me just hold it up for a bit. This book caught me by surprise. I haven't really heard anyone talk about it or anything. Specifically, I haven't heard anything about this author, but I found him because I looked up books that are similar to Out by Natsuko Korino. So I was looking for something that was fast paced, that was just gonna not put me in a reading slump, because I feel like that's what's been happening to me a lot recently. But yeah, this book was super good. It's a Japanese crime novel. I don't know if I said that already, but it follows this high school math teacher that decides that he's going to help his neighbor cover up a murder that she committed. She murdered her ex husband. Um, so he just decides he's gonna help her and her daughter that she lives with. Mind you, he's barely talked to this woman other than like a polite hi hello as you do with neighbors. But he just decides like he like just got a calling like, oh, I'm gonna help her, with the situation, which is insane. Like people that are okay in the head wouldn't normally do that. But then you find out exactly why he did it later, and it kind of blew me away. I was like, wow. So, aside from focusing on the math teacher, we're also focusing on this physicist that went to the same university as this math teacher, and how this physicist is pretty much the only one that can untangle and uncover, how this murder was covered up. Because I keep saying this math teacher, but he's actually like super smart, and that was very much so highlighted in this book. Like he was a mathematician major. He went to like I think graduate school, and then he had to drop out. This math teacher had to drop out because his parents got sick and he had to take care of them. So he just ended up settling for a high school teacher job. He was like whatever. Um, but constantly while he's teaching he's just judging these students because they don't have the passion that he does for math. Like the way his brain works is just very like calculated, and he's just like a genius. Anyway, so this physicist and the detective that's working on this case, they have like a friendship where the detective goes to this physicist knowing that the physicist is super smart. He teaches at a university, or like he works at a university. The detective always goes to this physicist and he's like, hey, like I'm stuck on this not crime, what's the word I'm looking for? Like I'm stuck on solving this crime. Like let's walk through it and stuff like that. And even though this physicist is not a detective, he's just so smart that he's able to help this detective. So this detective brings up this specific crime where the ex-husband was murdered, and he's just like, everything checks out over here, but then my intuition is telling me something's off. And this physicist is like, oh, like this is, I'm not gonna tell you what he says obviously, but like he's like, oh, like I went to university with this neighbor, this math teacher, like he's super smart, like he must be covering up something. Like it's like y'all are falling for this trap. Y'all as in the detectives, you guys are falling for this trap. Like this, there's something deeper going on here. Like I went to college with this guy, and I feel like he has something to do with it, and all this stuff. And yeah, I really really love the book. Like 50% in, it just sorry, it took a turn like no other. Like not what I expected at all. It was so fast paced. I think that was probably my favorite part because I was just reading like super slow paced books that were putting me in a reading slump like back to back. It felt like since like December, honestly. And it just felt so good to be reminded of why I got into reading. It was to read books that were, I don't know, just moved fast, that were like escapist and all these things, you know? But yeah, I felt really happy when I found this book. And I would highly recommend it. It's not just fast paced with really good character development, but there are definitely moments where it's very reflective and gets pretty dark, pretty dark very quickly. And I do have this excerpt that I highlighted that I wanted to quickly talk about. Um, okay. This is just like, so this math teacher, his name is Ishigima, and he randomly like he takes this route to get to work, and he passes like a bunch of homeless people. It's by like the river, and he makes this remark which really stood out to me. Quote, "That's what happens when you free people from the restraints of time. They're, they make their own rigid schedule." End quote. So he notices that whenever he passes by these homeless people, he sees that they do the same things, which is like there would be this guy that would be carrying around like a huge plastic bag full of cans, and he's like putting it somewhere. They're like just keeping themselves so busy, and he's just like, it's so interesting that like even if they don't gotta go to work, they don't, you know, they don't have to do this and that, humans are just kind of like wired for some reason to just have stuff to do and like have a very rigid schedule of things to do. Like, and I just related to my own experience of like on days when I don't have to go to work, I'm like keeping myself so busy. Like I'm like, okay, I gotta start the morning productive. I'm not saying this is like either bad or good. It's just like something to notice. But I'm always like, okay, I gotta make sure I make an appointment for this thing, and I'm working out, and I'm doing this, and it's like, have you ever thought about chilling out? Like, like our whole life is just like keeping ourselves busy and getting to the next thing and the next thing. And I don't know, it's just getting dark all of a sudden. I don't know. That was just something I observed. And yeah, I would highly recommend this book. I had such a fun time. I don't know if it was because I was just in a constant reading slump, but this definitely took me out of it. That I ended up getting his other books, which hopefully I hope won't be a mistake. But I got a book called A Death in Tokyo. I'll show you the cover, which actually looks interesting as well. A Death in Tokyo, and then his other book, Guilt, and then Malice. Yeah, so if any of you have heard of this author, let me know what you think. Apparently, he's like a very famous and popular author, and I'm like, how have I never heard of him? Like, anytime we talk about Japanese authors, especially when I was on over on Bookstagram, which I'm not anymore, which I miss sometimes, we would always be talking about the same like two or three authors, and it's like, girl, enough. Not enough, but it's like I don't know. There's got to be a lot more authors, you know, that are like good, if not better. But I always hear about Haruki Murakami, and then what's the other guy? Kazu. I have his books in here, and I'm not hating on these authors. BTW. Kazu Ishiguro, the one that wrote Carla and the Sun and Never Let Me Go. I'll show you the cover. This is a book I want to start again. I got halfway. I don't know why I stopped. But I hear about this author, and then I hear about the author that wrote Breast and Eggs, and she wrote Heaven, which I read both and I really loved. Wait, is that a Japanese author or a Korean? I feel like I might be mixing her up. But regardless, my point is that I'm happy to find other authors. I also got a couple of books from this author. Sorry, this is turning into like what books I want to read now, but the one that wrote Kitchen, her name is like Banana something. Let me show you the cover. Banana Yoshimoto. And then I got her other book. I don't even know if I'm gonna like this, but I was like, I've heard really great things about her, so I got. Sorry, that's my cat. Asleep, also by the same author. Let me show you the cover. Just kidding. I can't show you the cover. It's not letting me. Anyway, you just have to believe me. And yeah. So I'm very excited to be discovering new authors that I have never read anything by. But yeah, I would highly recommend The Devotion of Suspect X. Let me know if you've read it. Let me know if you want to read it. Let me know if you don't want to. Actually, well, I don't know. Do what you gotta do. But yeah, bye. Have a nice day. I will talk to you on my next update on whatever book I finish.